I know. She's got to go. Good Monday morning and welcome to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Parker King. It is back to school, and for this dad, it is take daughter to work day because other daughter is in school right now. Mommy has a doctor's appointment. So tell everyone what your name is. What's your name? Uh-oh, a little shy. This is my 3-year-old, Janie. She is going to be joining us periodically on the Action News 5 digital desk. And we actually, yes, ma'am.
That's me and Ellie.
She's talking about my custom-made coffee mug that I got for Father's Day. It is her and her sister at the Memphis Children's Museum on their news set for River City News. So my two little newsies are with me every morning when I have my morning cup here at the TV station. And so we've got to go do something, right? So we're going to take a quick break. Please excuse us. We're going to take a look at one of our recent interviews with Regional One Health about, thank you. Woo! My producer just told me we weren't streaming. Now we are. This is why we work together here, especially when Dad's pulling double duty. So we're going to cut to, like I said, a recent interview with Regional One Health to share about how we can stay healthy during heat-related illnesses. I know the weather's been pretty fantastic the last couple of days, but it's kind of a roller coaster, as Patrick tells you. So we're in for some more of that August heat, the heat that we're accustomed to, or I wish that we weren't here in the Mid-South. So let's go to this real quick with Ariana, and then we'll be right back on the Action News 5 digital desk.
We've got a topic coming up in an interview that I think most people can relate to, right? It is summer, of course, and it is
Okay, I'll get you down in just a second.
extremely hot outside. Even if you're outside for just a few minutes, you just feel how toasty it can get. And of course, with the rising temperatures, it's important to know how to stay safe when those temperatures do climb. And joining us now from Regional One Hospital is Dr. Anna Yang. She's here to help us separate the normal, it's hot outside that we could be experiencing with when we may need to, take things more serious, any signs and things of that nature. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
All right, so first, let's talk about, in general, heat-related illness, right? We talk or we hear about that word often. Can you explain what that is and how we may know that something may be a little more serious?
Yeah, so there's a whole range of heat-related illness. I mean, we have things, as minor as just some, very mild dehydration and feeling warm to, heat exhaustion being, more significant warning signs from the body that this needs to be taken care of quickly. And then all the way down to the most severe with heat stroke, where somebody's body can no longer compensate for the heat outside. And it's gotten to the point where it's affected their brain function and their ability to think and mentally function at all. So there's a huge range of different things.
Absolutely. And Dr. Yang, I want to apologize. I want to take a step back and rewind. Tell us exactly your title and what your everyday work is at Regional One Health.
Yeah, no problem. I am an emergency medicine physician and also a family medicine physician as well.
Okay, so I imagine you see a lot of things, especially when it comes to this topic. Have you started to see any heat-related illnesses, or is it still a little too early in the summer for that? What are you seeing right now?
No, it's definitely not too early. I mean, it's the weather's kind of been fluctuating lately, and so what we've been seeing has also been fluctuating. But definitely with the more extreme temperatures, we are seeing a lot of heat-related problems and symptoms. Most of them, fortunately, have been minor and fairly straightforward and simple to correct, and they've generally done really well. But there have been some cases where it has not been so straightforward, and there have been some pretty significant heat-related injuries as well. But the temperature alone doesn't account for it too, right? If the temperature is high and not necessarily extreme, but what the person's been doing is prolonged exposure, or they're at higher risk, or they're doing some intense activity, you can get heat-related, pretty significant heat-related illnesses too, even when the weather isn't necessarily, that temperature number isn't necessarily that high.
No, for sure. That's a good point. Can you talk about who's most at risk? I would imagine it, impacts everybody, but I'm sure there are some people or different groups that kind of could be more susceptible to this sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So the typical, young, healthy adult with no major medical conditions generally do really well as long as you listen to the, signs and symptoms of your body. Get inside when you feel like it, making sure, you're staying protected with your skin and staying hydrated. Most of the time, those things are adequate for your, regular, normal, healthy adult person. However, very young people and older people as well don't have that ability in their bodies necessarily to protect themselves or regulate their own bodies. Internally, it's generally the hypothalamus portion of the brain that regulates temperature. And so when we feel hot, when our body receives that signal that the temperature is rising, we sweat, we are able to get our blood vessels dilate to try to release some of that heat. And for the most part, that's a great, cooling mechanism. But, older people and the very young have a difficult time doing that. On the other side of it too, we have, our homeless population and also those with mental health illnesses as well. And if they're either unable to get somewhere cool or unable to have access to, hydration or skin protection methods, or just can't mentally figure out how to do these things or don't know to do those things, these people are at very high risk as well.
Absolutely. For me, you mentioned children as well. I'm a mom. I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. And I think about the car seat in the back seat and how hot it gets. And even if you have, a newer car, sometimes there's not vents in the back. And so anyway, I'm thinking about how I can keep my kids safe and whether we're in the car, outside, playing on the playground. I know staying hydrated is important. How much water is enough? And what are some other things we can kind of do to making sure that we're cooling ourselves off or, just staying hydrated?
Yeah, so there are a lot of numbers floating around out there on how much water somebody should drink. Some of them are weight-based, but I think the most important thing is to listen to your body. So, before you go outside, make sure you're preparing for that and already starting the hydration process so that you get ahead of it. But definitely any signs of, dry mouth, your urine is darker, or, you just feel more tired, or, even a little bit lightheaded. Those are already signs that you're in kind of the mild dehydration phase. And so you really need to get ahead of the water. And in general, water is sufficient unless somebody is heavily sweating and losing a lot of electrolytes really quickly. And in that case, some of those electrolyte drinks can help improve the efficiency of rehydration.
And at what point does somebody know, okay, hey, I recognize signs, I need to take a step back, drink more water, get in the shade, versus I need to go to the emergency room and see a Dr. Yang, for example? What are the differences? How do we know when it's getting a little more extreme?
Yeah, so for the most part, heat exhaustion is something that can be managed, sometimes with the help of, friends and family. But most of the time, your usual dehydration, feeling unwell, heat exhaustion can be managed without a trip to the emergency room. That includes things like, getting to a cool location as quickly as possible. Evaporative cooling is very effective. So if in addition to the sweat you're already producing, spraying someone with water and then getting them in front of a fan, that kind of evaporation effect is great for cooling. Putting ice packs in areas that have kind of blood vessels that come right up to the skin to help your internal body release some of that heat. So areas like the armpits or the groin or the neck, or even the wrists are really great for that as well. So most of the time after this, drinking water, remaining in that cool environment for a while, people feel significantly better and can go back to their, normal day. But if that isn't working, then that's the time to go and get some help. Or if it's so severe to the point where somebody's confused, not acting quite right, they seem kind of out of it, maybe they're hallucinating even, something's mentally wrong, then definitely get them straight to the ER at that point.
And before I let you go, are there any, heat safety or heat related myths that you wish people would stop believing or may not be as true as we hear about or think?
I mean, I think the most common thing we hear about is just that somebody thought it just couldn't happen to them, right? They're fine. They're a healthy person, so this couldn't possibly happen to me. And not preparing for it and not thinking about it is usually when people get into trouble. But as long as you do think about it and prepare for it, and it's a head to toe process. It's not just making sure you have water, but also dressing appropriately, having a wide brimmed hat, wearing, loose, light clothing, good breathable footwear, socks, sunscreen. I mean, all sorts of things all play into preventing heat related injuries. And as long as you think about those things and, don't assume that just because you're baseline healthy doesn't mean this couldn't possibly happen to you. As long as you protect yourself, most people will do just fine.
Awesome. Very important and timely tips, Dr. Yang. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And things are only going to get hotter from here. Let's be honest. We live in the Mid-South, right? So
Yep.
thank you for these.
And the
tips. We
humidity,
appreciate
that
it.
adds to it for sure.
I know it. It is brutal out there. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. And hopefully we'll talk to you again soon, sometime this summer.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right.
Folks, thanks for bearing with me on that. I appreciate it. No, 3-year-old is now often watching Bluey at Daddy's desk. She might make some unscheduled appearances periodically throughout the remainder of our time frame on the Action News 5 digital desk. But nevertheless, we press on, and we actually have some breaking news that's come across our desk. This is coming from Memphis Police just over an hour ago, where police responded to a shooting call in the 4700 block of Bluffwood Cove. A man, we're told, was transported to the hospital in critical condition. This is an ongoing investigation. We also continue our coverage covering a fatal shooting in Whitehaven. Memphis police say a man is dead and a woman is hurt following shots fired at a Whitehaven gas station. They responded just before 12:30 yesterday afternoon. This is the gas station off Holmes Road and Airways Boulevard. When officers arrived, they found 2 victims on the scene. A man was taken to the hospital in critical condition, where he later died. A woman was also transported to the hospital in non-critical condition. Police say the suspects are 3 masked individuals, and they have actually 2 of those men detained at this time. It is back to school season. It is at its peak, starting today with Memphis Shelby County Schools, DeSoto County Schools as well. two largest districts in our area. But more Mid-South Public School districts are also going back. All the districts on your screen, including Dyer County, Marshall County, Crockett County, Hardeman County, those are all in session starting this morning. Benton County, Mississippi, Senatobia, they're in session today. As for later this week, as you can see on your screen, West Memphis goes back tomorrow. Collierville and Germantown go back Wednesday. And Bartlett, Lakeland, Fayette County, Wynne, you're back in the classroom on Thursday morning. And if you're getting your kids out the door, a friendly reminder that school buses will once again be on the roads, folks. Authorities are asking drivers to slow down in school zones and neighborhoods. This is helpful graphics from the Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Authorities are asking drivers to slow down in school zones and neighborhoods, watching carefully for students entering and exiting buses. A reminder that for Tennessee folks, state law says to always stop when a school bus extends the stop arm. That means if you're coming in the opposite direction, if you see that stop sign extend from that bus, please do yourself a favor, follow the law. A few extra seconds of caution can keep everyone safe, especially as this new school year begins. Speaking of new laws in Tennessee, starting this school year, every Tennessee public school has to have rules limiting when students can use phones and other wireless devices during class. But the law also sparks a bigger conversation about artificial intelligence. Researchers say it can help students learn, obviously, but risks doing the work for them. State leaders are recommending students learn the material first on their own. Then you can use AI as a tool to help them better understand what they're learning. Also adding that schools need to set clear rules for how students use AI. Researchers say setting boundaries is critical. For example, only using AI when checking answers and to walk through a solution for math problems. To Mississippi now, where a South Mississippi school district is cutting back on classroom screen time this school year. Now, this is Bay St. Louis Waveland schools. They're shifting to a more paper and pencil instruction curriculum with hands-on activities and face-to-face learning. Teachers say they're using technology only when it supports the lesson. District leaders say research on excessive screen time helped drive this change in policy, and they hope it strengthens academic performance, communication, social skills, all the things. As for students, they're setting up for the new school year, and leaders say they hope this sets them up for success. At the same time, Mississippi students are adjusting to a new state law which limits unexcused absences at 5 per semester. We've been telling you about that since early July when that law first went into effect. If you're going to school in Mississippi, it's more important than ever to show up for class. This new chronic absenteeism law is in effect. Around 100,000 kids missed at least 10% of school last year. That is what they consider chronic absenteeism. If you miss more than 10% of the days in the school year, that lumps you into the category of chronically absentee. A new law now strengthens this compulsory school attendance law, moving enforcement to youth courts and increasing accountability for chronic unexcused absences. The Lieutenant Governor of Mississippi, Delbert Hosemann, says the goal is to set students up for long-term success. We'll go into a little bit more of an explanation for that because the average absenteeism, chronic absenteeism, was 27.6% for the state of Mississippi. That means across the state, 1 in 4 kids were chronically absentee, meaning they were missing more than 10% of the school year. And so there's several facets within that. Not only do you have to be present at school, but also present for 66% of the day. You can't leave early, or at least until you hit that 66th percentile. It used to be 63%, now it's up to 66%. There are a lot of districts in our area that are not keeping to that absenteeism because the new state law sets a parameter where school districts as a whole, or grade by grade, they have to keep chronic absenteeism to 10% of their student population. Again, state averages nearing 30%. That's where a lot of our local districts sit. DeSoto County, if you watched us in the morning, you saw me there outside of headquarters and outside of one of the elementary schools. DeSoto County, according to the latest data we have from the Department of Education, which was the 2024-2025 school year, their absenteeism rate was 31%. And some of the other districts, I believe Senatobia was 33%, Benton County, Marshall County, Tunica County, those districts that are going back today and this week, they were upwards of 30, upper 20s. And so they need to get that down to 10%. If they don't get it down to 10%, they need to implement what's called a chronic absenteeism reduction policy. That could include a myriad of strategies, including early identification, intervention, family engagement, trying to figure out what the problem is. Maybe they don't have access to transportation. Maybe a parent who would take a child is experiencing health conditions. Whatever the case may be, there is a way for districts to identify the problems that are impacting students' attendance and to implement that policy. Now, what are the consequences? That's one of the big questions we've been getting. It's not really in terms of consequences, it's in terms of how can the state assist districts who are actively trying to reduce their absenteeism rate. So if a district is implementing an absenteeism reduction policy and they're not quite to that 10% yet, the state can come in and offer technical assistance, especially for our smaller districts who might not have the resources to efficiently address chronic absenteeism. That's how the state can assist. Now, if a district's not following the law, that's a completely different story, because there is an option where I believe they're called attendance officers, almost like truancy officers back in the day. Who remembers truancy officers? That's when the courts can get involved, and then there can be court documents that are filed for this student who is knowingly and willingly missing school. So as long as we're making good faith gestures to lower the absentee rate for districts, there's a lot of flexibility in which the state can provide assistance to make sure we get as close to that 10% threshold as possible. I know I'm throwing all of this at you. It's like a fire hose of information, especially for parents, new parents who are bringing their kids to school for the first time. But districts like DeSoto County are sending out emails to parents, making sure they're aware of what the law used to be, what it is now, and how we can all work together to make sure that our kids are in the school. Again, that's the whole thing. The kids staying in school as long as they need to get over that threshold, make sure they're in the class, make sure they're learning. So we've got more headlines, guys, including more back to school stuff, elections, some headlines from over the weekend. But let's go to a quick break and we'll be right back. Sarah, can you hear me?
Hello.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
a thousand apologies. It has been a day full of breaking news, back to school, and I saw you had hopped on the Zoom, and I thought I should probably let her in, shall we? And so, so we are in.
No worries at all.
I'm
What is
so
the
glad
breaking news? I'm so curious.
Oh, we've just had a few shootings that have come across my desk, breaking those in. We've been doing a little follow-up on the In-N-Out shooting in southern Idaho. Plus, it's
Yeah.
also back to school. I know you're in Little Rock, but our two biggest districts, Memphis, DeSoto County. So we've got like almost 150,000 kids going back to school today. We've been out and about. I was actually out in the field, came back, came on the desk, running through these headlines, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have a 9:15 and it's 9:27. So
It's
what?
no worries whatsoever. I actually
are-
just moved to Arkansas from Memphis, so I know the
Oh,
Memphis
so you know.
hustle and bustle.
Perfect.
Yes, yeah, I'm in Northwest Arkansas now, but yeah, my
Okay.
husband and I just moved to Arkansas last September from Memphis, where we lived for many years. So
Wonderful. Okay, so what I'm going to do, we're coming out of break, so I'll go ahead and introduce you. Is it Dahina?
Dehenna.
Dehenna. Okay, thank you. Perfect. All right, so getting us set up, and then
Is
we
this
will-
live?
This will be live, but again, very, very light, very flexible.
Okay.
We can go as in depth as we want to, but do 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 do. All right, perfect. Got you set up in our boxes. We will come out. All right, Dehenna, Dehenna. We got it.
Dehenna.
All right, here we go. Folks, welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We've got a special guest today. We tried to keep things as central as possible, but our Arkansas demographic, they've been kind of pushing this to try and get it into the headlines, talking about Filmland. And put two and two together. Use your common sense. This is what we're going to be talking about. I'm actually joined by Sarah Dehenna, one of the organizers of Filmland, to give us a bit of insight into this upcoming event, what we're expecting to promote, to put on. And, you know, Little Rock, hop on I-40. It's not even a 3-hour drive. And if you're looking for a good getaway, something new, something fresh, Memphis has its own rich history of indie filmmaking, music videos and whatnot. And so this is a great way to kind of expand our horizons a bit in terms of art scenes here in the Mid-South and especially Arkansas. So Sarah, I'm going to give you the floor. Good morning, first and foremost. Give us the 30,000-foot view of Filmland.
Absolutely. Well, good morning. Filmland in Filmland, Arkansas. The Filmland Film Festival is held by the Arkansas Cinema Society next week, starting on Wednesday through Sunday. And it's this beautiful curated film festival of both curated films of Hollywood and fame legend, as well as our Filmland Arkansas Film Festival, which is integrated into it, which is celebrating Arkansan filmmakers. I'm the lead programmer for the Filmland Arkansas Film Festival, so I've had the absolute honor to not only celebrate these Arkansan filmmakers, but give them the space within our film festival to really shine. And while it is an Arkansan Film Festival, we actually do have a Memphis name in it as well, Princeton James, with his feature Hoop Street. So we're very excited to be able to include our Memphis community as well.
No, I love it. And we're throwing up a couple of still photos that you sent us. So, you know, Memphians, we're very familiar with what gets shot here. You know, most famously, we've got our culture of hustle and flow. We've got, you know, The Blind Side, Oscar-winning films. You know, give us, you know, what is like an Arkansan filmmaker, Hollywood production that immediately comes to mind that the average film appreciator might not realize?
Absolutely. Well, if you've been following us at all, you will see that this year we are honoring our very special guest Matthew McConaughey is coming to the festival and is doing a full day of Q&As. But, you know, we just recently, in Arkansas Cinema Society actually helped with the overall kind of promotion of the film King Snake that has been filming in Arkansas for the last year or so, starring Margaret Qualley. And so we have a lot of really cool film coming out of Arkansas, not only in the Hollywood specter, but also within our local filmmakers as well. So it's very cool to be able to integrate both of them together into one beautiful celebration of film.
Absolutely. I love that. And gosh, talk about a special guest doing Q&A.
Yes.
And so, I mean, that had to be a huge get for you. And so to get the interest of McConaughey to come to this film festival, give us a breakdown of the history of it. How long has this been going on?
So this is only my first year with Filmland Arkansas, so
Got
I'm
it.
very excited to be a part of it. Yes, but I believe it's been going on for at least 10 years, if not longer. And
Got it.
every year we've just been growing and evolving with our programming, our films, as well as the special guests who have been coming out as well. You know, in the past we've had such names like Coleman Domingo and Jessica Chastain come to the festival as well. And so, even though
Oh, wow.
2026, in my opinion, is going to be our best year so far, that only means that we can grow further and have a more successful and a really hyped evolution within this festival for years to come as well.
I love that. Okay, so so let's give folks, this is like kind of Little Rock area, northwestern Arkansas. Where specific, let's get into the logistics. If this has piqued anybody's
Yes.
interest, they love film, they love festivals, and gosh, they might even want to get a Q&A with Matthew McConaughey. Let's go into the logistics of it. Where can folks find information? We talk about next week. Let's give folks the need to know, the 411, how can they get there?
The 411 is that Filmland will be happening from August 12th, which is next Wednesday, to August 16th, which is the Sunday after. And all screenings will be taking place at the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts in Little Rock.
Got it.
So we're going to be holding the curated sections, panels, workshops, everything you could possibly want from a festival like this. We're very excited, and the schedule will be going live very soon, so you'll be able to buy tickets here very soon.
Is there a social media page, a website? Where can folks visit? We'll try to include that on our website for anyone who wants to look back at this interview and get that information. Where can they find it?
Absolutely. All information can be found at Arkansas Cinema Society. So you can either Google it or find us on Instagram at Arkansas Cinema Society, and you'll be able to keep up with all of our announcements.
Perfect. And so my last question, any goals that we have? We talk about the growth, we talk about just the A-listers who've come and really shown support, which has got to be so gratifying for your organization. I know you said this is your first one to be a part of, but it does have a decade plus history. Any goals that we have in terms of growth as we look forward to this upcoming film festival, but also in the future?
Absolutely. Like I said, I really think this is such a beautiful celebration of film, and a personal goal with me as the Filmland Arkansas programmer, so programming specifically those Arkansan stories, is to just continue to celebrate and uplift and reach out to all four corners of Arkansas and surrounding areas to encourage people to submit their films, to bring them to us. We would love to see them, and we would love to celebrate local filmmaking as well. And so I think it's this really beautiful moment where we can celebrate local filmmaking while also bringing in those big names as well. And there's kind of a little bit for everyone, which is very cool and very fun.
It's true. And you think of those diamond in the roughs and how they get their start. The one that comes to mind always for me is one of my wife's favorite, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and how it was just
Yeah.
an indie film, a writer that no one had heard of, who stars as Mia Thermopolis, and I mean it goes on to be
Yes.
this cult following because she pressed forward and probably got support from local film festivals that gave opportunities to platform films like this.
Absolutely.
I have to imagine that there's some Arkansan amateur filmmaker with a hope and a prayer and a really good story needing something like this. So it's such a great asset to have over in Little Rock. Is there anything that you'd like to add finally before I let you go?
Before I go, I can keep preaching it. Please come out, support Filmland Arkansas, support these local filmmakers. It's such an amazing experience, an amazing festival, and I'm so excited to be a part of it and to be here to promote it. So if you need something to do next weekend, come on down to Little Rock and see some amazing films.
We just said it, next Wednesday to next Sunday,
Correct.
not Fayetteville, excuse me, Little Rock, Arkansas. We're going to get it right. Sarah DeHanna, thank you for, first off, coming on. We really appreciate the opportunity to help you promote and get the Memphis audience engaged and let them know what's happening, on I-40, just a couple hours west of us. So thank you again. Best of luck next week. We'll try to have all of this on our website and help you with that promotion.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
What a delight. I'm a bit of just a fair weather movie appreciator. So that's got to be an incredible festival to have, to talk about that growth and all the A-listers who have been coming on. Special thanks to her again. And if you need any more information, if this has piqued your interest, we'll try to have this on our website with all the logistics information we talked with Sarah about, actionnews5.com. We'll go to a quick break, guys, and then come out with some more national headlines on the Action News 5 digital desk. We'll be right back. Wonderful. Sarah, thank you again.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
And best of luck next week. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes. Well, if you need to come out, let me know. Well,
Hey, look, don't tempt me with a good time. Actually, next weekend, I'm trying to think, I am in the stage now where I've got 2 kids under 5 and it's birthday parties. Oh my gosh.
valid.
It's my own daughter's birthday party. Okay, don't tell her I said that. My daughter's turning 6 next Saturday. So I have an excuse.
I won't tell her.
Awesome. Well, best of luck again. That's going to be a lot of fun, especially getting with Matthew McConaughey. Good luck next week.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course. Take care. All right, guys, welcome back to the Action News 5 digital desk. Special thanks again to Sarah DeHenna and the Arkansas Film Society for making time for us. I know they've got a lot going on planning for this upcoming film festival, so really excited to help them promote that in some way, shape, or form. We're going to turn now to a bit of national news. I don't typically do this, but playing a few stories in a row, mainly because this has made such headlines, so many headlines across the country involving the Southern Idaho In-N-Out shooting. We've got several angles of this. This has really captured the lens of the nation. So we're going to first give you nuts and bolts. We have, through our partners, a one-on-one interview with someone who came face-to-face with this shooter, but we also have what comes on the other end, grief counselors who are available for those victims in that shooting. So we'll first start with this nuts and bolts story. Here we go.
At this time, we can confirm that the suspect, 24-year-old Chad Williams, is deceased from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
As law enforcement continues to investigate Saturday's mass shooting at the In-N-Out in Twin Falls, police have released new details about what unfolded. Police Chief Matthew Hicks confirmed that officers received multiple 911 calls just before 2:30 Saturday afternoon, with dispatchers hearing screams and gunfire as first responders rushed to the scene.
At this time, we can confirm that there are multiple victims. Based on the information currently available, there are 3 victims that are deceased. 7 others are injured. 2 of those patients have been treated and released. 3 are in stable condition, and 2 are in critical condition.
The identities of the victims have not yet been released while families continue to be notified. Officials say investigators are still processing evidence and interviewing witnesses. Police also addressed rumors circulating online, confirming investigators believe the suspect acted alone and identifying him as 24-year-old Chad Williams, who they say died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Officials also emphasized social media claims identifying another individual were false.
We understand that there are many questions, and we will try to answer as many of those in time as we can. However, because some details cannot be released at this stage, and doing so would compromise our investigation.
Police also revealed new details about the response during the shooting. Chief Hicks says an off-duty Idaho State Police trooper and an armed citizen returned fire at the suspect. Investigators believe those actions forced the gunman away from the crowded area and likely prevented even more people from being hurt.
We want to take a moment and commend the actions of the off-duty officer and the citizen in their heroic action to stop this incident. We believe their actions helped drive the suspect away from the scene, preventing further casualties.
The FBI is assisting with the investigation and has established a digital portal where anyone with photos, videos, or other evidence from Saturday's shooting is asked to submit it.
We have committed the full weight of our resources to the Twin Falls Police Department, deploying every investigative and intelligence tool at our disposal.
Victim advocates and crisis counselors also remain available for those impacted as the community continues to mourn.
I want to tell the citizens in Twin Falls how proud they should be of the men and women of law enforcement and their first responders and how they responded to this incident and the bravery they displayed yesterday. Together, our community will get through this. To everyone here in Twin Falls, remain Twin Falls strong and support each other.
Bye.
All right, guys, so that was the nuts and bolts story. I told you, 3-year-old's going to be making some periodic appearances. She wanted to come over here on the desk. And as I told you, we've got, through our partners, a one-on-one interview with a man who basically came face-to-face with this gunman. Very scary situation, but let's take a look at his testimony.
I mean, I really thought I was dead.
For Braxton Stubbe, his workday at Dick's Sporting Goods started off normal, but then he noticed a strange sound.
And I kind of noticed like a ringing in my ear, and I asked what it was, and they said it was the alarm going off.
Braxton says he brushed it off. The alarm went off before. Then everything changed.
A storm of people come in, like 5-10 people come in, and specifically this lady, she was yelling, "There's an active shooter, there's an active shooter," and running to the store letting everybody know.
Braxton swung into action, rushing people to the back of the store, but the only way out was a locked back door.
Well, I kind of grabbed the manager, and I kind of shoved through, told everybody to move, let her unlock the door.
Braxton and his coworker bolted out the door, running toward the new hotel being built near the canyon. That's when Braxton says he spotted a man near the visitor center.
I saw the gun, and I kind of just froze. I put my hands up, and that's when he pointed the gun directly at me. The only thing I was really thinking was like, don't try and make any sudden movements. Don't try and run. Just hopefully talk to him, and hopefully he can change his mind. I said, I have a family. I said, you don't have to do this. I'll tell you whatever you want. I'll do anything. I'll tell you what you want. And that's when he started to like tear up a bit, it seemed like, and kind of just got like emotional, it seemed like. And he said to me, "Just get away from me, man." And his stuttery voice, like as if he was crying almost.
As Braxton backed up, eyes fixed on the shooter,
He turns back around and kind of has the firearm on his hip. As he's walking backwards, he fires a shot towards me. Thankfully, he had missed me. And we decided to go to the sidewalk on Blue Lakes, and we just started waving our hands, trying to stop traffic. And that's when we went into Best Buy and called our parents.
Once Braxton got to safety and called his dad, that call brought him racing across town with one thing on his mind.
Just total panic, you know? It's not a situation you should be in as a parent, you know? I just wanted to get there and get him home safe, you know? So.
I mean, what a terrifying situation. Credit to that young man for springing into action. We have a question on what kind of an animal cracker this is. I believe this is a cat. What do you think?
Good.
You think it's a cat? Okay, good. So we've got one more story involving this very tragic situation. Has to do with the mental health counselors who have been called into action following this scenario. I won't go into too much detail. I'll let the package speak for itself.
Lori Stewart with the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department saw a need, and within hours, right, she was mobilizing this and putting it together.
Counselors and therapy dogs filled Rock Creek Elementary School Sunday to offer free crisis counseling sessions to a grieving community in the wake of the shooting at In-N-Out. Melissa Osen is one of the social workers there and says dozens of people attended, with most in a state of disbelief.
As it's kind of sinking in for people, like, this happened here in our community, and just that concern that people have.
The therapy sessions help people understand the emotions that come after a traumatic event like this.
This is something that most of us have never seen in our lifetime, especially here in Twin Falls. And we're just trying to help people normalize what they're feeling, these reactions that they're having, these feelings, right, how it's showing up for them. These are normal things that they're feeling to a very abnormal event.
For someone like Samuel Farrell, those feelings are powerful. He says he was near the In-N-Out, originally wanting to go there to eat when he saw it was too crowded. As Farrell pulled away, he heard popping sounds and originally thought his tires burst. Then he saw people running.
I remember just seeing people running, screaming. Somebody was saying shooting, 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 and running the opposite direction of where I was driving to.
Farrell says his first instinct was to try to help, then the police quickly closed off the area. He found himself put on lockdown inside his hotel room where he remained for hours. Farrell told me that learning more about the victims and being in proximity to the shooting makes this very emotional for him.
In the moment, you're kind of got an adrenaline rush, and then when you come off of it, it's kind of like an extreme anxiety, depression, anger, being sad, all coming into one, and like an atom bomb just blasting. And it's not really an easy scenario to comprehend.
Farrell says he plans to go to counseling in the future and is grateful for the support of his family. Osen adds offering therapy sessions for free helps encourage people to seek help and heal through connection.
We want this to be available for everyone, and we don't want anyone to feel like it didn't happen to me as much, or I wasn't right there, or I just saw it on something that somebody posted. If it's coming up for you, if you're thinking about it, if it's a thought for you, if you can't get it out of your mind, come in, meet with the amazing therapists that are here.
Right, folks, welcome back. Thoughts and prayers again to the folks in southern Idaho for a tragic, oh yeah, we're making a debut. The 3-year-old has been pretty much the talk of the town.
What is this kind of animal?
This looks like, that's a great question. I want to say this is a hippo, perhaps a buffalo. Can't be too sure.
Okay.
Do you mind if I read some more? Okay. So, a few more headlines for you folks, and then we'll get a first look at weather going into the 10 o'clock portion of the Action News 5 digital desk. So, early voting in Shelby County ended Saturday. If you didn't vote, you've got until the actual primary on Thursday, August 6th. But there's been a faulty ballot reported in Shelby County, and it may have affected roughly 300 voters during early voting. Election officials with the Shelby County Election Commission say 4 judicial races were accidentally left off one of the voting machines at the Christian Life Church in Bartlett. Remember, if it's early voting, you could have voted at any of the early voting precincts. This particular one, again, did not include 4 judicial races. It's the same judicial races that were missing from about 700 ballots last month, the absentee ballots. We told you about that. Very big story. It's been resolved with the supplemental ballot that was then sent out. Linda Phillips, who heads the Election Commission for Shelby County, she says her office has been stretched by the addition of last-minute judicial races, but they will provide an update later this morning. 3-year-old's got a question. Yes, ma'am.
Can I have my smooth snack?
You want your fruit snacks? We're going to read a couple more headlines, and then I'll get you your fruit snack during break. Sound good? All right, you heard it. So I've got to read these quickly to get a fruit snack to a 3-year-old. She's already eaten her animal crackers. Fruit snack, lunch, parents of young children, you understand these are bottomless pits that will eat you out of house and home. We've actually got an interesting update to a story we thought was pretty much closed. It involves the investigation in Cooper Young, the Out Memphis shooting. The person charged with the shooting is out free this morning after prosecutors say they have the wrong suspect. You might remember Algin Tyler was arrested back in May for attempted second-degree murder after shooting and injuring 2 people. But Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy said new witness interviews identified a different suspect, leading to Tyler's release. Attorneys for Tyler say the defense uncovered key evidence and shared it with prosecutors who, to their credit, acted quickly to dismiss the charges. In a statement, Steve Mulroy said his officers have a responsibility to act when credible and new information comes to light. What is it, darling?
I got that little remote.
The little remote that moves the camera. Want me to show you? This little remote, it moves the camera like this. See? Kind of moved it a little bit. That's how we keep our shot in the center, so we always look good. Okay? Another update to a long stretched story, and in fact, I remember covering this when I was a reporter almost 5 years ago. It involves Jashun Freeman. You might remember this is someone who died in 201 Poplar in 2022.
The people that did that to my child to be held accountable.
Yeah, that is Jashun Freeman's mother. Now, the trial for 2 of the 9 jailers charged in that video there, that CTV footage inside 201 Poplar, the death of Jashun Freeman, who was an inmate, that trial is set to start today. Crazy, it's been 4 years. Corrections deputies, who you just saw on your screen, their mugshots, Stephen Jones and Courtney Parham, they face charges of second-degree murder and aggravated assault in connection with Freeman's death inside Shelby County Jail again back in 2022. According to the autopsy, Jashun Freeman suffered cardiac arrest while was restrained, and his death was classified as a homicide. I mean, that was a bit of an interesting case. It was almost like an alternate reality, because I remember responding. Jashun Freeman's father and mother were outside. They didn't know what was happening. And this was all overshadowed by the death of Tyree Nichols. This was all happening simultaneously. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump took both of these cases, and I remember him saying outside of 201 Poplar, what is happening in Memphis? What is going on in Memphis? So 4 years later, his trial starts today. We will definitely be in that courtroom on the lookout for what happens. Another court case that we're keeping up with is one that happened this year. This is Kendra Scott, who you might remember was given a $100,000 bond for first-degree murder. This is the Memphis mother accused of killing a man she found hiding in her daughter's room. She'll be back in court today. Scott's accused of shooting and killing a man as he ran from her home on Travis Road in the Walker Homes area. Scott's attorney says the first-degree murder charge could be lowered due to lack of evidence, saying the shooting was not premeditated. We're going to go into some international news for a second regarding the war in Iran. I know I feel like we talk about it all the time, with no substantial progress being made because our gas prices are still high. But it looks like we have a substantial update to give you, because President Donald Trump says new peace talks with Iran could start today after threatening massive attacks on the country's infrastructure. President Trump agreed to cancel these attacks as long as the two countries are able to quickly make a deal. This is video coming from CENTCOM. Since the war began in February, this is at least the 4th time President Trump has threatened to escalate attacks on Iran before calling them off. But Democrats are skeptical that anything has changed. The president says there's no deadline to these negotiations in terms of reaching an agreement. Iran has not confirmed nor commented on the potential peace talks. However, a spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry told state media that the regime will not back down or face any of these threats. Finally, some good news here. This weekend, we had a perfect golf weather for a tournament with an even bigger purpose. This was the inaugural Dennis or DJ Price Junior Golf Classic. It brought dozens of teams to the links at Pine Hill in South Memphis on Saturday, raising money to support students in need. Proceeds will help the DJ Price Jr. Foundation open its 5th DJ's Care Closet in Memphis Shelby County Schools, providing free school supplies, clothing, toiletries, all of the things. What a great time. The foundation was created in memory of Ridgeway High School athlete Dennis DJ Price. You might remember him. He died from an undiagnosed heart condition at just 16 years old. Finally, a true act of heroism here in Tipton County. We told you about the fearless rescue that saved a life last week. Well, two Good Samaritans jumped in and pulled a woman out of a car covered in flames in Covington. Investigators say the woman drove into a pump outside of the Midway Market. The pump immediately burst into flames, as you just saw. Many stood waiting for emergency services, but two bystanders, they ran toward the flames. One of the men says he wanted to help the woman, even if that meant jumping into the fire. Covington police say the driver is recovering and receiving treatment at Baptist Memorial Hospital. And we've been talking about that for the last week or so. Well, it happened on Friday, so over the weekend. Great story about Good Samaritans, really restoring your faith in humanity. So we're going to go to one more break, guys, and then we'll go into a first look at weather with First Alert meteorologist Patrick Ellis, and then get into the 10 o'clock portion of the Action News 5 digital desk. We'll be right back.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 digital desk. I'm First Alert meteorologist Patrick Ellis. Upper 80s is where we're headed for as we go through the course of the day today. Hopefully you can enjoy a nice day. If you don't have the kids heading back to school here today, of course you have to pick them up at the bus stop, and you'll end up picking them up with great weather here across the region. Lots of sunshine, temperatures in the middle to upper 80s. Feels like temperatures in the low to mid 90s. Not terrible, especially for early August standards. Remember, it should be a lot hotter than this. And of course, we'll keep that trend even going for tomorrow as West Memphis goes back. First full day for Dyer County schools. They have a half day here today. Temperatures upper 80s, low 90s. Still feeling low to mid 90s. So again, we're not adding too much insult to injury when it comes down to the feels-like temperatures as humidity levels slowly but surely begin to creep up. Mid 90s coming up on Wednesday. A lot more districts going back. Dyersburg City Schools, Oxford City Schools going back into session, as well as Germantown and Collierville. Low to mid 90s, and you start factoring in the humidity that will start to click a little higher. We'll feel into the middle to upper 90s, maybe nearing 100 degrees here in the city of Memphis. Bartlett, Lakeland, Arlington going back on Thursday, as well as Wynne, as well as Blytheville. Hey, I think the weather for the morning should be fine. No major problems. I think getting out to the bus stops, you should be with sunshine, maybe a passing cloud or two. The better rain chances will probably hold off until the afternoon hours. But places like Wynne and Blytheville might be able to eke out a quick shower or thunderstorm during the afternoon and early evening hours of Thursday. Maybe a little better chance for rain and storms coming back into the fold by Friday. Fayette County and a half day for Haywood County coming up on Friday. That could be a little bit more slow because we could have some showers and thunderstorms drifting down towards the south. We're going to watch that closely because, again, impactful weather could be in play to at least get towards the end of this week. But the vast majority of this work week is going to be easy, no major problems. It's just going to be a gradual slide upward on the temperatures here across the Mid-South. When you look at the extended forecast, we'll go 94 going into a Sunday and keep the mid-90s even into early next week. Millington going back early next week. Tipton County going back next Monday as well. We've got Lauderdale County going back next Tuesday. So a lot of more districts will come in. A lot of the eastern Arkansas school districts will go back actually next week here. And of course, it looks like it's going to be just downright hot and humid of a typical dog days of summer August feel here across the Mid-South. In the meantime, though, we'll enjoy what we have here today as we start to build the heat and humidity and eventually leading up to at least a chance for a couple of showers and thunderstorms by the end of the week and into the portions of the weekend.
getting ready to welcome our friends from the Memphis International Airport. They are going to be having their second annual Runway 5K. I mean, if anything, a very picturesque event and a very unique event. How many of you get to say you ran a race on the tarmac of an international airport? But you don't have to hear it from me. You get to hear it from our friend Mia Harvey from Memphis International, who's sort of spearheading the organization for this second annual event. First off, Mia, good morning. We're happy to have you to talk more about this event and help promote it. Some healthy living here in Memphis in the Mid-South. First off, good morning. What's going to be new, or is it going to be we did perfect the first time, we're going to go again and see if we can recreate the success we saw? We're just excited. We're excited to have you on and excited to promote this event. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you again for having us. We are super excited. So now that we have you're hearing that it's a second annual, so obviously the first one went just great. So we are excited to bring it back September 19th this year. We are expanding how many registrants we'll have available this year. First year we tried to cap it around 1,000. Well, we kept moving up. So let me say this: when we first started to plan it last year, we were like, "Oh, we'll be good if we get like 300 people to participate." Then we got to 300. Then we're like, "Okay, well let's go to 500." Then we got 500 people to sign up. So then we were like, "Okay, well let's go for 750. We got 750 people to sign up. And so we said 1,000 and we got to about 983. So we're here to be able to have cap at about 2,000. And so if you're interested, I would say go ahead and start signing up now.
That's incredible. And so that's part of the reason why we're having you on. Registration is open. We had the early bird registration. Now it's just the regular window is open. It's in September, so we've got some time to work with. But I mean, as you were saying, I mean, those spots are filling up quickly. Was that shocking for you to see? Because I mean, any inaugural event, you're never really sure, is this going to hit off to a great success? But you just kept expanding the cap and you hit 1,000 last year. And like, let's not bite off more than we can chew. Let's make sure first and foremost we can handle this. But to practically double the cap, was that surprising for you?
It was a little surprising. We figured that would be a few years down the road. There's a few other airports, not necessarily close here, but that do the same sort of event. So the Miami airport does it, the the Charlotte airport does it, Atlanta airport does it. And so we figured that it would take us a few years to kind of get to those big numbers. But for us to knock it out the park the first year, we're super excited to be able to do that. And so we are definitely, there were some lessons learned, but it went off without a kick. We heard a lot of people that loved the event. Surprisingly, some people said that they did not hear about it. So, we're really appreciative for you guys to be able to help us to spread the word that this is such a cool event. And again, as you said before, who would have thought, or who can say that they were able to run on a runway where actually you'll see planes taking off. You'll get able to run under a 777 airplane. We'll also have some other kind of airplanes out as well. So we're super, super excited about this year.
Yeah, we're showing video from last year. You saw our Jerry Askin. He was one of the MCs. He's a big runner, ran it himself. And it's not one of those situations where you say, oh yeah, it's at the Memphis International Airport and maybe it's in the parking lot. It's like we're showing imagery now. Like we're on the tarmac. We're running underneath one of the FedEx 747s. I mean, it's one of those unique events that honestly adds to a little bit of the enticement. It's not just some trail through a neighborhood. It's like, hey, you want to come run on the tarmac at Memphis International? Let's do it. I mean, how long is the tarmac? Is this a straight line from one end to the other? I mean, it wouldn't shock me if I have terrible depth perception. So if you were to tell me that was the equivalent of a 5K, I'd believe you. But what does our course look like? Are we running in a straight line and then down and back? What are runners going to be able to see when they come and they start from the starting line and into the finish line?
So I've heard a lot from the runners that this was actually one of the best courses because it was flat.
No way.
You have a small incline when you first start, and then really it's just think of it. We won't want an airplane going like this. So it's a really cool flat surface. You kind of do a roundabout, and then and then you circle back to our to the start finish lines in the same area. So super flat area, and like I said, runners, or the feedback that we got last year is that this was one of the best areas to run, strictly because of how the surface was. So and also, I just want to bring up that this is a great opportunity, or a lot of people don't know that the airport, we have a 501c3. So it's called the Memphis International Airport Foundation. And so we do a lot of great things in the community. And so the proceeds from this race is what goes to that foundation, where we're able to expand, get middle school and high school students, and even college students interested in careers in aviation. We want to strengthen our talent pipeline here in Memphis. We also have an annual art program that this foundation supports, and other community initiatives where in the area.
That's great. And you're 2 steps ahead of me, because that was my next question. Obviously, registration has a fee to it, but what is it going toward? Well, it's going to that 501c3 that you mentioned, the art project, helping try and promote aviation, getting students involved in those programs. We've got a few in the area. I know Delta State down in the Delta, they've kind of got a pipeline up here to FedEx. U of M's got kind of a fledgling aviation program, commercial aviation program they're trying to build up a little bit. So it's great that in a place like Memphis, where we have FedEx, we'd love to have some locally grown pilots, and this is just one of the ways to try and promote that. So great stuff you're doing in the community.
I'm sorry,
go ahead.
Also, we the careers in aviation is not always the ones we want to expose them to, are not necessarily just like the pilots here, but also we have painters that we expose the careers to as well. And so the painters make sure that all of the markings on the runway with the special reflective paint are in federal guidelines. We have electricians here. We have mechanics who work on they don't necessarily work on airplanes, but work on any vehicles that help to support the operations here at the airport. We have operations duty managers that make sure that the runways are clear and safe and in regulation. So those are some of the careers. We have a K9 unit. We have our own police force here. And so those behind the scenes aviation careers are the ones we really want to connect students to as well. And again, those are middle school students and high school students. We have a program called MemSOAR, and so that is particular to that age group. And we also, one of the schools that we support right here in the community is the Oak Haven Community Schools as well.
MemSOAR, I love that. Thank you for cutting me off, because that is so important. Because it's those behind the scenes jobs that people don't traditionally associate with the aviation industry, but the folks who paint the runways, we need safe runways for the planes to land, obviously, and there are people who paint the stripes on there. And I've got actually family who are mechanics over at the hub, so those are important jobs. You need the planes to work. I've got one friend that works at the new de-icing facility, so many different. I got some connects over at the airport, but but you're right. It's those behind and it's so important to open that up to students at a young age in high school through MemSOAR, and let them know that, hey, these are careers that the flight industry, especially FedEx, it's sustainable, if you will. So, a stable career there. So, so all of that coming from proceeds in part from this Runway 5K. Where are we now? I know registration just opened up, but are you able to see how many spots we have left? I'd hate to promote this and say, now we're already tapped out at 2,000. So where are we right now? Are you able to see?
We're good. We're at about 500. We do know that as we get closer to the race, people will start signing up. I will say, don't wait till the last minute. Like, we are, again, and one reason why we have to cap is because, as you can imagine, running in an airport, one of the most secure places, there's a lot of security clearance that has to go on before you can actually come in this area. And so that is one of the big reasons why we have to, have everyone signed up prior to the race. So I do want to stress that there is no day of sign up. And again, that is because we have to have special security clearance because of where the race is actually located on the runway.
Very important stuff. Okay, so last questions is sort of the logistics. So don't wait till the last day, but where can folks find sign-up information? How much is registration? What is probably the latest? When's the cutoff date for registration? I think there is a cutoff date so that you don't have those last day sign-ups. So last we'll get to is logistical information. Go right ahead.
Yeah, So you can find information on our website, www.flymemphis.com, and you'll see the Runway 5K kind of button at the top of the website. The last day to sign up is September 13th. Again, we have to get everyone's names in, who will be running, date of birth, all of those things. Another big thing is to make sure that everyone brings their ID day of, because those will be check-in if you're signing up. Again, we've got a few spots available. Also, if anyone is interested in being a corporate sponsor, that would be an awesome opportunity as well. You do get a few registrations depending on what level you sign up for. So that's an awesome opportunity to get involved. Again, the proceeds go to a great cause here. We're really doing some great work behind the scenes here in Memphis and the surrounding community, and we will love to keep this pushing. The biggest thing is that you can find the cost, you can sign up. So we're about $45 now. Since the early bird special is over, if you have a stroller, you want to bring your kids, that'll be available as well. We'll have a few little smaller airplanes that you can go and view as well. We've got the Tennessee National Guard is going to help out, and of course our Purple Promise partners next door, FedEx. They're such a awesome team to work with, and they'll be providing the big planes for us as well.
All right, folks, welcome back. 3-year-old has rejoined us. Has your binoculars. You want to show them your binoculars? Look over there. Show your binoculars. We use these for the zoo. We do. All right, folks, we are going to actually patch in to a press conference we have with the Shelby County Election Commission. We told you about a ballot that was missing information about judicial races. There were the absentee ballots last month that affected about 700 ballots. Those ballots then received supplemental ballots in the mailbox for folks who had that information missing. So now we've recently learned that an early voting location in Bartlett was missing 4 separate judicial races from the ballot. So this is being addressed. I want to go ahead and patch in this live interview. It appears there's a Q&A session right now that's Linda Phillips. She is the head of the Shelby County Election Commission answering questions. Let's go ahead and patch in and see what she has to say.
It might be illegal. Is it illegal to cross over and vote in the other party's primary?
The law says you need to be a bona fide member of the party that you are pulling a primary ballot for.
I take it the law hasn't changed itself over the years.
I don't recall any changes to it.
Are there any more specifics on the early voting numbers? Is there a difference or counts made depending on the primary that voters voted in or the district they were voting in? Were there more details on the early voting numbers?
We will be putting out more details on early voting numbers later this morning.
And forgive me if you already answered this, but as for the 300 or so voters who will they have to redo their vote? I'm guessing for the ballots that were.
No, that would not be permitted under Tennessee law. There's no way to identify those 307 people. There were more than 1,800 people that had voted at that location.
Was there anything that the poll worker on that one machine was telling voters that was out of line or incorrect?
I don't know what the poll worker said to them, so I can't really answer that.
I know there are people this morning that are being trained, so given what's happened, are you emphasizing any particular aspects of training now as you go forward?
Well, the people that are being trained today are inspectors. They've been working for us for a long time, and they're very familiar with the process. But we are emphasizing that if a voter has questions, they should absolutely ask a poll worker before they separate and place their ballot into the scanner.
Now, we covered the auditors being here. Was that part of the auditor's job to correct that sort of issue?
The auditors were testing. It gets really complicated, so it's very difficult to explain. The auditors were testing ballot splits primarily, making sure that the correct candidates appeared in each split. Then that's just one of the many parts of the testing we do. And we have extensive testing protocols, and it was just a regrettable human error. It was missed on one machine.
How many machines total were used in early voting?
There were 270 machines used in early voting. As I said, we have retested all of them, and they are all correct except for the one, and that's been pulled out of service.
All right, so you've been listening to Linda Phillips, head of the Shelby County Election Commission, talking about a myriad of things. Early voting numbers, our expectation on when we can see that. Early indications show that we were in for a record-setting early voting turnout, which is good for Shelby County. There's a lot on the ballot this year for these August primaries. It appears she is welcoming another. I'll be quiet real quick.
And click on the Know Before You Go banner. Check and find out where their correct polling place is, because unlike early voting, voters only have one correct place to vote on election day. So they need to be in the right place, and if they've moved, they need to go to the polling place for their new address. So they'll need to check that. They can change their address at the polls if they're registered, but they will need to be in the correct place for their vote to count. Check, and again, when you check your address on our website, you will know what districts you belong in, so that'll tell you what candidates will appear on your ballot.
All right, so it appears she's just encouraging folks who might be listening to this, make sure that you know where your precinct is, make sure you know the times in which you can go to your precinct, and you can find all of this information on the website for the Shelby County Election Commission. They have mock ballots. You can take a look at who is running for a race if you've not taken the time to look, and you can also look at voting locations and everything you need to know. So we're going to actually come out of this. There's a lot of interest in election security, election integrity nationally, and so there was, rightly so, questions about the one voter machine that you heard Linda Phillips talking about. That was at that Bartlett early voting location, and so as we continue to learn more about election, especially leading up to Thursday, a lot on the ballot, we will bring you the very latest updates. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll be right back on the Action News 5 digital desk. Stay with us.
These chairs can spin?
Sure can.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Ariana Poindexter here. We are joined by a very special guest today with a very special mission. This is Taylor Reed, founder and CEO of Shower Up. And it's a really great nonprofit organization that provides shower and hygiene products to the homeless and anyone in need. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for letting me be here.
Absolutely. This is a really incredible mission. Tell us a little bit about it, how it got started, and a little bit about the behind the scenes of it all.
Absolutely. So basically, this started out just with a heart for caring for people. And so, going around and talking with people in need on the streets who didn't have a home and sharing simple food with them, giving them, a bag of snacks and things like that. We commonly heard the thing of, man, I love this. Thank you so much. But do you know if there's anywhere that I could get a shower? And it's something that a lot of people don't think of. If you don't have a home, you don't have a place to take a shower. And so many people would tell us, I would rather have a shower than have food. A shower makes me feel human again. And so we built these mobile shower trailers and we travel around. We're on wheels so we can go to directly where they are in need. And so we'll have a staff member there and then we welcome volunteers from the community. People can walk up with nothing and we're going to provide them everything they need to get clean. That's a clean towel, washcloth, soap, shampoo, conditioner. Everybody's going to get a new pair of socks and a new pair of underwear because if you haven't showered for a week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks because you don't have a home, it's nice to have those fresh items to put on. So we're going to give that to every single person. Let them go up in the shower, their own private space, and they can enjoy the time that they need to get clean. And that's going to be their one opportunity that most of us get to do every day when we walk into our bathroom at our house. They don't have that. So we want them to just feel human, know that they're loved and they're cared for. And that helps them have the confidence to do what they need to do that day. Maybe they want to get a job interview. They're clean. They can go do that. So that's what we're all about.
I love this. And our viewers right now, they're taking a look at what these actual shower pods look like, which is pretty incredible. How many of these do you all have? I see they're numbered with different doors. I would imagine that's the different showers that they can go in. Can you kind of walk us through that? Because it's really fascinating.
Absolutely, yes. So each mobile shower unit, so we have one full-time in Memphis that's travel around the city. There are 3 private shower suites, so one person in each one. Most of our events are 2 to 3 hours, and that can shower anywhere from about 25 to 30 people. We don't set time limits. So one of our rules is there's no time limits. And so they get to go in and experience the shower, take the time that they need. There's going to be unlimited hot water. So nobody's going to run out of hot water. They can de-stress, decompress, get clean. And just when they walk up in that shower, they get to lock the door and know that nobody's going to mess with them. They can have privacy and they come out walking out clean, looking like a different person, feeling like a different person. And that's really why I do what I do. I love seeing those reactions when they walk out of that shower door. And the most common theme we hear is people say, I feel human again. And it's just such a beautiful experience.
No, that's incredible. And tell us, how long have you personally been involved in this? How long has Shower Up Memphis been involved? And we can stop there because I have so many other questions for you.
Wonderful. So I've been involved for 6 years. So I started out in Huntsville, Alabama. And so I started Shower Up there, and Shower Up then expanded to Memphis. We've been in Memphis about 3 years providing showers on the streets of Memphis. And we started with just a campaign and a need from the community, taking a mobile shower from another city, saying, hey, could the city help us fundraise for this? And churches, groups, individuals pitched in. So we now have our very own unit sitting in Memphis. And so we're out this summer 5 days a week, 5 events a week. We're all over the town, partnering with different nonprofits, churches, organizations. So you might see our trailers parked around. We would love to have anybody come out and volunteer. They can go to showerup.org, click on the Memphis tab, and then they can come out, bring your family, bring your friends, just come as you are, and we can serve those who need it so much.
Can you talk about the need here in the Memphis area? What are you seeing, and how beneficial have you seen this be to Memphis residents?
It's been huge. I mean, we see, most people will notice if you drive around, especially near the downtown metro areas, there's people who are on the streets and in the parks and sleeping outside. I met people who have, been in Memphis their whole lives, and the price of housing has priced them out. Maybe they've been renting and their rent has doubled. So they no longer could afford to live where they were, and they drained their savings, and now they're on the streets. There's also people who, have been in this situation for a while. Maybe it's medical bill that they couldn't pay and a debt that they couldn't have. Maybe a family member passed away. All sorts of experiences, and homelessness is on the rise. And so people can't afford the price of housing in addition to the price of everything else. I mean, look at the price of gasoline right now. So when you're living on low income or no income, it's hard to get by, and housing is one of those things that unfortunately falls off the map first. And so people will be living on the streets. But the ability to get clean, I heard somebody tell us just the other day, say, hey, I might be homeless, but I don't have to look homeless, and they don't have to feel homeless. And because they can get showered and get clean, they feel like just you and me. They can take a shower in the morning before they start their day. And we've seen people who have kind of gotten a slump because they've been sleeping outside and they felt dirty and they didn't want to go and even go to see a case manager or go to try to apply for a job because they knew how they looked. They knew how they smelled. Well, when they can get a shower, they come in the shower up trailer. We tell them they look good, they're wonderful, they're beautiful. They come out, pumping their fist in the air. Then they go straight to the job interview. We had a guy go and apply for a job right after that, and he got that job. And we didn't see him for weeks and weeks and wondered what happened to him until he finally messaged us on our Facebook page. He said, I haven't been able to come and get a shower anymore because I am working now and I have a full-time job. And thank you, Shower Up, for helping me get that. And so it is helping people. It's helping people getting out of homelessness. It's helping people get jobs. But at the most basic level, even if somebody's going to be on the street tonight and still have to sleep outside, they can take a shower today. They can feel clean. They can know that they're cared for. And that's what it's all about. It's about restoring hope, restoring dignity, letting each person simply feel human.
That's awesome. And tell us if anybody's watching this and they want to get involved, they want to know how they can volunteer, or if there are any upcoming events, I guess, if you will, or days when people can shower. How do we get involved, and what do we need to know?
Absolutely. Showerup.org. We made it simple. Go to the website, showerup.org. There's a volunteer page. There's a I need a shower link. So if you need a shower, you can see our full schedule. You can donate supplies. Everything we do is relying on donations from people right here in the Memphis community. So without your help, we can't do it. So we need you. Come on, help hand out a towel to somebody in need. Come volunteer, and I'll promise you, your life will be changed.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Taylor, for your time. This has been so great to learn more about. It's always great when we learn about things in our community that are helping our neighbors, right? So we appreciate you sharing more about Shower Up Memphis, and we hope you'll join us back here on the Digital Desk again.
Absolutely.
All right, folks, welcome back. We're going to go into a look at your headlines leading up to Action News 5 at midday. Starting with a few things that we're working on. We had a shot up, but that is no longer there. We have a man in the hospital in critical condition after a reported shooting in the 4700 block of Bluffwood Cove. That is in Raleigh. If you hear a child chanting, that is 3-year-old off to the side. Can we be quiet for a second? It's okay. Her mommy is almost here from her doctor's appointment, and we will be deprived of her company. But it looks like we might still have her. We've got 30 minutes left. We should be okay. So, nevertheless, sorry to bounce in between serious and dad voice, but the balls I have to juggle these days. But so back to the Raleigh neighborhood, 4700 block Bluffwood Cove. We're told this is an ongoing investigation. Again, we had a live look. There was an active scene, but it appears Memphis police wrapped up. Our videographer has returned. We hope to have more information for you in our coverage on Action News 5 later this afternoon, likely the 3:30, 4, 5, and 6 o'clock news. Stay tuned for that. We are going to go ahead and recap a bit of a fatal shooting that took place in Whitehaven over the weekend. Police responded to this gas station near the intersection of Holmes Road and Airways Boulevard. Now, when they arrived, officers found 2 victims at the scene. A man was taken to a hospital in critical condition, where he unfortunately later died. A woman was also transported to the hospital in non-critical condition. Police say the suspects are 3 masked individuals. They have detained 2 of them, fortunately. If you'll indulge me, folks, 3-year-old's mom is here. I'm going to go to a pre-recorded package with a little bit of information from Regional 1, and then we will return to our regularly scheduled program. I greatly appreciate your patience on this, and so we're going to go to this now. Here we go.
Action News 5 Digital Desk. My next guest, I'm so excited about. We always love talking to the Memphis Botanic Garden. We're going to be talking about the My Big Backyard Jam Session. I have Miss Natalie Brashear here. She's the My Big Backyard curator. I'm so excited about this next story. Let me go ahead and invite her in. Miss Natalie, how are you doing this morning?
I'm great. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Okay, so give me all the info on it. It's the My Big Backyard Jam Session, and it's happening August 8th.
Yes, so I'm here in our newest playhouse on Playhouse Lane at the Memphis Botanic Garden in our children's garden right now. So this is Fun Studio, which is our new music playhouse modeled after, of course, the iconic Sun Studio, just kind of referencing our city and celebrating Memphis while also still providing the kids with lots of fun instruments to play with and explore. And we've been working really hard on this new playhouse and the build and the idea behind it. So on August 8th, we are going to throw a concert, like a special Fun Studio opening celebration concert, which is called the My Big Backyard Jam Session. And so that's a Saturday, August 8th, kind of around the time school's going back. So bidding goodbye to the summer, hello to our new school year, building community. It is going to be from 6 to 8 p.m. that night. So hopefully it will have cooled down a little bit. And like I said, it's going to be a ton of fun. We're going to have the Fun Studio band, and they're going to be playing a lot of songs that you might recognize from childhood or childhood favorites, but also just Memphis classics, and it's just a selection that's going to get everyone moving and grooving and excited to be here.
And Miss Natalie, you also have some special guests. I know you can't share everything, but what can you share with us?
Yeah, so the Fun Studio band members are comprised of Graham Winchester, Jeff Hewlett, Jacob Church, Frank McClellan, and Lori McStay. And Graham Winchester is a local musician and employee of Sun Studio, has kind of hinted that they're going to have some special guests sort of join throughout the night, and also just kind of on the spot learning music lessons, a lot of interactive elements. In addition to the music and the concert too, if you're coming with your family, you guys can get up, stretch your legs, go make your own musical instruments, and then come back and join the show so that you can interact as well. So there are a lot of different dynamic elements going on for the jam sesh. So sorry, didn't hear the sound come through on that one. But
can you
I'll
hear me
just
now?
provide a little more info about Jam Session in general. So it's going to be $20 for non-members, $15 for members. But I want to reiterate to everyone that the children under 12, all kids under 12 will get in free of admission. And we really highly encourage going ahead and buying tickets ahead of time so that we can get numbers ready and have everything good to go for the crowd that we can expect that night. So anything
Perfect.
like that is available on membg.org.
Perfect. Miss Natalie, can you hear me now?
I sure can.
Perfect. You answered that question perfectly. My last question for you is going to be, why are you encouraging people to come out? You know, there's some people who are like, I need that extra push, but what keeps you coming back? Because when I see you talking about it, you're so excited, so enthusiastic about this.
Well, Memphis is a special city, largely because of our music history and just kind of the role we play in American music history. And I think that it's not only is it a really great way just to be outside, have your kids and family outside and just play outside and kind of really be present, but it's also, I don't know, could inspire the next generation of Memphis musicians. Maybe they come to Fun Studio, play on the marimbas or the drums or the chimes, and it just changes a life or makes a formative memory. So it's just really hard to beat that great feeling and sharing with your community and their families in that way.
Miss Natalie, thank you so much. We're so excited about the Memphis Botanic Garden, My Big Backyard Jam Session. We'll have all of this information on our website, Action News 5. And Miss Natalie, thank you so much again. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm First Alert meteorologist Patrick Ellis. Upper 80s is where we're headed for as we go through the course of the day today. Hopefully you can enjoy a nice day. If you don't have the kids heading back to school here today, of course, you have to pick them up at the bus stop. And you'll end up picking them up with great weather here across the region. Lots of sunshine, temperatures in the middle to upper 80s. Feels like temperatures in the low to mid 90s. Not terrible, especially for early August standards. Remember, it should be a lot hotter than this. And of course, we'll keep that trend even going for tomorrow as West Memphis goes back. First full day for Dyer County schools. They have a half day here today. Temperatures upper 80s, low 90s. Still feeling low to mid 90s. So again, we're not adding too much insult to injury when it comes down to the feels like temperatures as humidity levels slowly but surely begin to creep up. Mid 90s coming up on Wednesday. A lot more districts going back. Dyersburg City Schools, Oxford City Schools going back into session, as well as Germantown and Collierville. Low to mid 90s, and you start factoring in the humidity that will start to click a little higher. We'll feel into the middle to upper 90s, maybe nearing 100 degrees here in the city of Memphis. Bartlett, Lakeland, Arlington going back on Thursday, as well as Wynn, as well as Blytheville. Hey, I think the weather for the morning should be fine. No major problems. I think getting out to the bus stops, you should be with sunshine, maybe a passing cloud or two. The better rain chances will probably hold off until the afternoon hours. But places like Wynn and Blytheville might be able to eke out a quick shower or thunderstorm during the afternoon and early evening hours of Thursday. Maybe a little better chance for rain and storms coming back into the fold by Friday. Fayette County and a half day for Haywood County coming up on Friday. That could be a little bit more slow because we could have some showers and thunderstorms drifting down towards the south. We're going to watch that closely because, again, impactful weather could be in play to at least get towards the end of this week. But the vast majority of this work week is going to be easy, no major problems. It's just going to be a gradual slide upward on the temperatures here across the Mid-South. When you look at the extended forecast, we'll go 94 going into a Sunday and keep the mid-90s even into early next week. Millington going back early next week. Tipton County going back next Monday as well. We've got Lauderdale County going back next Tuesday. So a lot of more districts will come in. A lot of the eastern Arkansas school districts will go back actually next week here. And of course, it looks like it's going to be just downright hot and humid of a typical dog days of summer August feel here across the Mid-South. In the meantime, though, we'll enjoy what we have here today as we start to build the heat and humidity and eventually leading up to at least a chance for a couple of showers and thunderstorms by the end of the week and into the portions of the weekend.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Parker King. We have a special guest with us from Regional One Hospital. We're here to talk about the renaming of a certain syndrome and the reason behind it. So polycystic ovary syndrome is the topic. It's getting a name change, and I'm not a medical professional by any stretch of the matter, but my friend here, Laura Hemel, is with Regional One here to talk about the renaming of polycystic ovary syndrome. We're going to talk about the new name, the reason why. First off, Dr. Hemel, tell us a little bit about your specialty, and then we'll get into this syndrome. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. I am an OBGYN academic specialist, so I both work for Regional One, but I'm also an assistant professor for the UTHSC Department of OBGYN. So we take care of a host of women's health issues.
Got it. And so why the name change? So quick note, guys, the name of polycystic ovary syndrome is being changed to polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome. And you're going to be able to get into the actual like medical details that give us an understanding why this name was changed. And so I want to go into that. Was this too broad of a name? What was the reason behind this particular name change that we're addressing here?
So the name change was to address the misnomer that is polycystic ovarian syndrome. So it doesn't just have to do with the ovaries, it has other metabolic potential consequences and risks. And so providers and patients internationally were surveyed for the name change. This was published in May of this year through The Lancet. They interviewed over 14,000 providers and patients, and 84% of them agreed with the name change.
Okay, so a name change is significant, especially if someone has had this before. And so how will this impact patients in the future? Like what benefit does it serve to patients who are now diagnosed with this?
Yes, it's both an exciting time for women's health, but also can be confusing because PCOS is so widely known. So the hope is that this improves time to diagnosis because you don't have to look a certain way to have PCOS. So typically your OBGYN may see these patients if you start having changes in your menstrual cycles or concerns with infertility, and we find the syndrome then. But this also can be managed by your PCP and endocrinologist, can be multidisciplinary because of the increased risks of hypertension, type 2 diabetes, elevated cholesterol, infertility, uterine cancer, sleep apnea are all risks associated. And so by improving time to diagnosis, we're hoping that down the road that can improve patient outcomes.
You're segueing perfectly into my questions about symptoms, for someone who might be on the lookout for this. So what are we talked about briefly those symptoms, but how common is this? We don't want people to think that just because they have sleep apnea or if they have high cholesterol that they might automatically be slated into this diagnosis. So how common is this? And if you do see these symptoms, should that mean setting up an appointment with your OB?
Yes, of course. So this is actually the most common syndrome for women of reproductive age. Between the literature, you see between 7 and 15% of reproductive age women have this diagnosis. But we use the diagnostic criteria called the Rotterdam criteria, and you need 2 of the following 3 symptoms. So the first is signs of anovulation or not releasing an egg at the time of your cycle. This can be seen through missing cycles, or we can do some lab values to check that. The second would be signs of a hormone imbalance, and this is increased testosterone or the male hormone. And then the third is if we see more cyst on your ovary than we would expect. And that's where the polycystic ovary portion came in. But you only need 2 of the 3 to be put in this diagnosis or this syndrome.
Got it. And so the next question just involves treatment. care? You know, what is that next step? You know, you go to the OB, you check 2 of those 3 boxes at the very least, you receive this diagnosis. What is the next step in terms of medical practice in your field to treat this?
Yes, so it does depend on patient goals if we're trying to optimize for potential pregnancy and things, or if we are working to manage symptoms. So the first is maintaining a normal weight, and that is something that you can talk about with your OBGYN, with your PCP or a nutritionist. The other options include hormonal pills that help either with the hormonal imbalance, regulate cycles, protect your uterine lining. And then if pregnancy is a goal, there are different medications that we can do to help with that. And then screening for those increased risk factors that you have.
Got it. Just a final question. So and again, not a medical professional, so some of this is genuine curiosity. Is there still going to be a polycystic ovary syndrome, or where this is like a new name that's been taken out of that because you were afraid of the misnomers that were associated with it? Or does that diagnosis go away altogether and we're now under this new umbrella of the polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome?
So this will be the new name for polycystic ovarian syndrome. Same syndrome, new names, and it hopefully will open the door for more research and more monitoring and things for women's health.
Okay, Dr. Hemel, we've covered a lot here in the last 10 minutes or so. So if someone's just hopping on and they want the elevator pitch right now, the reason why this name is being changed, the syndrome is being changed, and if you're in that age gap of women able to be giving birth, what's that elevator pitch from a medical standpoint about this new name change for polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome? I'm trying to get it in as much as I can.
So the new name change from PCOS to polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome, it is a lot, PMOS, is to better reflect the syndrome and its risk factors and how your medical providers can help in a multidisciplinary way to help manage those risks.
Perfect. Dr. Laura Hemel with Regional One, thank you so much for coming on. You know, like you said, one of the most common, if not the most common syndrome that you see, and a new name change and a reason why I think is going to be beneficial to our area and hopefully anyone else that sees this interview. We thank you for coming on. We're always thankful for Regional One providing us the best medical partners to talk about these issues. Thank you again. All right, guys, welcome back. First and foremost, thank you again for your patience and for your understanding. 3-year-old is now with mommy, and they are heading back home, and I will be right behind them when we get off the Action News 5 digital desk. A couple of good news. Let's bring some good news into this show today as we get into midday. We're going to first start off with a little Hollywood Minute. Spider-Man, brand new day, debuted this past weekend. They're saying it almost topped Avengers Endgame for the biggest opening weekend ever.
Moana, the ocean chose you.
Moana fell to 5th place, taking in $5.3 million. Minions and Monsters made $5.8 million, moving up to 4th place.
Just getting away, bud!
Enjoy the garage, Stuffalo Bill!
Toy Story 5 rose to third place, earning $6.3 million for a domestic total of $462 million.
What would he do if he came back here and find all these shooters in his house?
The Odyssey took in $51 million, pushing its domestic total to $395 million, but ceded the top spot to another Tom Holland Zendaya film.
But you're in danger. You just have to trust me. Fine.
Spider-Man Brand New Day had a massive debut, $355 million, just $2 million short of the all-time opening weekend record held by Avengers Endgame. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Got one more good news story for you before we get into Action News 5 at midday. This is in Texas, where a man has returned a lost class ring while simultaneously searching for his class ring. Sounds like what is the mystery wrapped in an enigma? Nevertheless, let's take a look.
It all started in 1997
when a Kennedy High School graduate lost his class ring during a home burglary. The very next day, he began searching for it, and along the way, he found countless other lost class rings and made it his mission to reunite them with their rightful owners. Nearly 30 years later, he's still searching for theirs and his.
Now, this case holds 100. Right now, I have probably like 80 class rings.
Richard Escobedo has returned more than 200 lost class rings to their owners or their families across the country.
There's so many different unique stories about how the class ring went missing or how they lost it.
When he tracks down an owner, he doesn't ask for anything in return except a selfie with their returned ring. Then he shares it with his online group, Class Rings Bought to Reunite, where thousands follow the search for lost memories.
What I do with that picture is I share it to the group, and believe it or not, it really gives everybody hope that maybe one day they'll be as lucky as them to get their ring back. And me, I'm hoping one day they say, "Richard, we found your ring." I'd be crying, "Mom," I'd be crying to my mom.
One of those stories belongs to Lady Morgan. In 2020, Escobedo found the South San Antonio graduate's class ring at a flea market, years after it was stolen.
Well, I had my first apartment and I was trying to help someone. And like I said, they hit my jewelry box. I didn't have much. My ring left. And when I asked him about it, he said he threw it in Woodlawn Lake. So I gave up on it.
By then, Morgan had been saving to buy a replacement and tells me getting the original back meant far more than a new one ever could.
I was happy because, like I said, I was getting ready to go buy another one. And it wouldn't have been the same, so it turned out well.
The two have stayed in touch ever since.
It makes me happy just to return a class ring. And even the ones that are in San Antonio that I find and return, those are a little bit more special ones because I can meet the person and they can meet me and I can hand deliver them their class ring.
Escobedo says not every search has a happy ending. Sometimes he just can't find someone, or people don't want their rings back. But that hasn't stopped him from continuing his mission, one return at a time, while holding on to the hope that someone will one day find his.
Such an inspiring story, and we hope that more of those can come across our desk, especially when headlines are pretty bleak. It's been another day on the Action News 5 Digital Desk, a special back-to-school day with MSCS and DeSoto County Schools. We thank you for joining us. Action News 5 Midday is coming up next.